Hi, this is Vivian Aranha, and I am currently acting as a Chief Data Officer with ABC Incorporated. And this is a mock interview for a data architect, and this is the requirement for this particular positions. So, in this particular position, we are seeking for an experienced data architect to design and manage our data infrastructure and architecture. The ideal candidate will have a strong background, data management, data integration, and data governance. We got a bunch of resumes for this. Some of the key responsibilities that we have mentioned were data architecture design, data governance, integration, warehouse, technology evaluation, collaboration, documentation, performance optimization, security compliance, training and support, and these are the basic qualifications required. The salary for this position is $250,000. This is the resume that we have received for a particular candidate, Keerthi, and her professional summary experience. This is a mock resume again, and as you can see, this has experience, data architect with 10 years of experience. This is her current job where she's working as a senior data architect. Before, she was a data architect in another company, data engineer before that. So you can look through this, and we can jump directly into the interview process next. Kirti, thank you for coming in today. We have reviewed your resume and your experience is impressive. I'd like to get to know more about your technical expertise and how you approach different challenges. Are you ready to dive in?
Good morning, Vivian. Yes, thank you for the opportunity. I'm excited to be here and looking forward to our discussion. I'm ready when you are.
Sure, great. Let's start with your experience. You have about 10 years in the field, I assume. Can you walk me through your journey as a data architect and highlight some key projects you have worked on?
Certainly. I started my career as a data engineer, focusing on ETL processes and database management. Over the years, I have transitioned into data architecture, working on designing data models, implementing data warehousing solutions, and ensuring data governance. One of my most significant projects was the redesign of a retail company's data architecture to support real-time analytics. So that has improved their decision-making process significantly.
Impressive. Let's dive into some technical questions. First, how do you approach designing a data architecture for a company with rapidly growing data needs?
I begin by understanding the business goals and the types of the data that are critical to achieving those goals. Then I evaluate the existing infrastructure to identify gaps. Scalability is key, so I focus on creating modular architecture that can easily integrate new technologies and sources. So I prefer using cloud based solutions like AWS or Azure for their scalability and flexibility. Additionally, I incorporate data governance and security from the start to ensure compliance as the data grows.
That's a good approach. Speaking of scalability, can you explain how you have used data partitioning to optimize performance in large database environment?
Sure, data partitioning involves dividing large database into smaller, more manageable pieces without altering the logical structure of the data. I typically use range partitioning or hash partitioning depending on the data access patterns. For example, in a time series database, I have used range partitioning based on time intervals to speed up queries. This will not only improve the performance but also helps with maintenance tasks like archiving and purging old data as well.
Oh, that's nice. Can you explain the difference between a data lake and a data warehouse and when you would choose one over the other?
Sure. A data lake is a centralized repository that allows you to store all your structured and unstructured data at any scale. It's ideal for storing raw data that might be used for various purposes like machine learning or data discovery and analysis. A data warehouse, on the other hand, is more structured and is optimized for querying and reporting. It's ideal when you use to store data that's already been processed and structured. So I would choose a data lake when I need flexibility and ability to store diverse data types, and a data warehouse when I focus on speed and efficiency in querying structured data.
A great explanation. Let's move on to data modeling. Can you walk me through your process for designing a data model for a new application?
Yep. When designing a data model, I start by gathering requirements from stakeholders to understand the types of the data, the application behind it, which will handle all of the relationships between different data entities. Then I created entity relationship diagrams to visually map out these relationships. I also focus on normalization to eliminate redundancy, but also consider denormalization in cases where performance is critical. Once the logical model is in place, I translate it into physical model that's optimized for the chosen database system.
What challenges have you faced when implementing these ETL processes, and how would you overcome them?
One common challenge is handling large volumes of data in real time. In one of the projects, we needed to process and integrate data from multiple sources without significant delays. To overcome this, I have implemented distributed ETL framework using Apache Kafka for real time data streaming, combined with the Spark for processing. So, this allowed us to scale horizontally and manage the data flow efficiently. Another challenge is ensuring data quality during ETL processes, which we address by implementing rigorous validation checks and error handling mechanisms.
That's great. Can you explain the role of a metadata repository in a data architecture, and how have you utilized one in your previous projects?
Metadata repository is crucial for maintaining the integrity and the usability of data within an organization. It stores information about the data, such as its source, structure, and usage, which helps in data governance, lineage tracking, and impact analysis as well. In one of the projects, I set up a metadata repository to track the lineage of data across multiple systems. This was particularly useful during audits and when implementing data privacy regulations like GDPR, as it allows us to trace how and where data was being used throughout the organization.
Perfect. Let's talk about data security. Why are some What are some of the key practices you follow to ensure the security of data within your organization?
Sure, I follow several best practices as data security is paramount, including implementing strong access controls, using role based access controls, or attribute based access control. I also ensure the data is encrypted both at rest and in transit. Regular audits, monitoring are essential to detect any unauthorized access or anomalies. So I also advocate for data masking and tokenization to protect sensitive data, especially in non-production environments. Finally, I work closely with IT security team to stay updated on the latest security threats and incorporate relevant defenses into the data architecture.
So, how do you approach data governance? And can you share an example of how you have implemented data governance framework?
Sure. It involves establishing policies and procedures to manage data quality, consistency, and security. So I start by defining data ownership and stewardship roles within the organization. Then I work on creating data standards, including naming conventions, data definitions, and data classification. In one of the projects, I have implemented a data governance framework by setting up data governance council with representatives from various departments. And we developed a data catalog, and implemented data quality metrics to monitor and improve the accuracy and completeness of the data.
What's your experience with the cloud data platforms, and how do you decide when to use cloud based solutions over on prem ones?
Sure. I have worked extensively with most of the cloud platforms like AWS, Azure, Google Cloud. The decision to use cloud based solutions typically hinges on factors like scalability, cost, and flexibility. For organizations with fluctuating workloads or a need for global access, cloud platforms offer significant advantages in terms of scalability and cost efficiency. They also provide advanced analytics and machine learning tools that are difficult to replicate on premise. However, for organizations with stringent data sovereignty requirements or existing investments, on premise infrastructure will be, and the hybrid approach will be more suitable in
Mhm.
those scenarios. Yes.
Sounds good. Can you describe a situation where you had to troubleshoot a critical data issue, and how did you approach it?
In one of the instances, we did encounter a significant performance issue with a data warehouse where queries were taking excessive amount of time to execute. So I started by analyzing the query execution plans to identify bottlenecks, and it turned out the problem was due to an insufficient indexing strategy and outdated statistics.
Mhm.
So I had to restructure the indexes and updated the statistics, which drastically improved the performance. And I also implemented query optimization techniques and introduced partitioning to better manage the large data sets.
And how do you ensure data quality across different systems and data sources?
So, ensuring data quality involves setting up data validation rules and consistency checks at various stages of data processing. I implement automated data quality checks using ETL processes to catch errors early on, and also establish data quality metrics such as accuracy, completeness, and timeliness, and monitor them regularly. In one of the projects, I have implemented a data quality dashboard that provided real time insights into data quality issues and also notify the actual groups that take care of those errors should those occur, allowing us to take corrective actions promptly.
Oh, perfect. Um, what's your experience with big data technologies, and how have you integrated them into your current data architecture?
Sure. I have worked with big data technologies like Hadoop, Spark, and Kafka. In one of the projects, we needed to process and analyze large volumes of unstructured data from social media and web blogs as well. So I used Hadoop for distributed storage and Spark for processing the data in parallel. Kafka was used for real time data streaming, and the integration of these technologies allowed us to handle large scale data processing efficiently and derive valuable insights from unstructured data.
Can you explain the concept of data lineage and its importance in a data architecture?
Sure. Data lineage refers to tracking of the data as it moves through different stages of its life cycle, from creation to the consumption. It's important because it provides visibility into how data is transformed and used across various systems. This is crucial for data governance, compliance, and debugging purposes. Um, in one of my previous projects, we did implement a data lineage tool that allowed us to trace the origin of any piece of data, which was particularly useful for auditing and ensuring compliance with regulations like GDPR,
Uh,
stuff like that.
how do you stay current with emerging technologies and trends in data architecture?
I stay updated by attending industry conferences, participating in webinars, and following the leading technology blogs and publications. I'm also active in online communities and forums where professionals discuss the latest trends and challenges in data architecture. Additionally, I also make it a point to experiment with new tools and technologies from time to time in test environments to understand their potential impact and applicability to the real world scenarios.
Great. So these were some of the technical questions that I had. Now, next phase, we're going to go into more of behavioral questions. Can you tell me about a time when you had to convince a stakeholders or bunch of stakeholders to adopt to a new data strategy or technology?
Sure, yeah. There was a project where I proposed moving our on premise data warehouse to a cloud based solution to address scalability issues. Some stakeholders were concerned about security and the cost of migration, etc. So I organized a series of workshops to demonstrate the benefits, including cost savings in the long run, and improve the scalability and enhance security features provided by the cloud platforms. I also presented a detailed migration plan that included risk mitigation strategies. And after addressing all of their concerns and showing the potential return on investment, I was able to get buy in from the stakeholders.
How do you handle situations where there is conflict between departments regarding data ownership or usage?
Sure, conflicts are pretty common over data ownership or usage or any data usage. We all often encounter conflicts, and I handle them by facilitating open communication between the departments involved. And I also organize meetings where each department can express their concerns and requirements, And then I work on finding a compromise that aligns with organizations' overall data governance policies. So, in one of the cases, I established clear data ownership guidelines and created shared data stewardship roles to ensure that all parties had a say in how the data was managed. So, which did help resolve the conflict.
Okay, perfect. Can you describe a time when you had to manage a project under tight deadlines? I think it's very common in most of the organizations. And how did you ensure its success?
Sure. I once led a data migration project with an aggressive deadline due to an impending system decommission. To manage the tight timeline, I broke down the project into smaller, manageable tasks and set clear milestones. So I prioritized critical tasks and allocated resources accordingly. Regular process meetings were held to identify any roadblocks early on, and well, I also ensured that open communication with all stakeholders as usual to manage expectations and make quick decisions. So, despite the tight deadline, we completed the migration successfully by staying focused and maintaining a high level of collaboration.
Oh, perfect. So, lastly, where do you see the field of data architecture heading in the next 5 years? And how do you plan to contribute to that future?
Yes, so the field of data architecture is rapidly evolving with advancements in AI, machine learning, and real time analytics. I do see a future where data architectures are more automated, leveraging AI to optimize data management processes. There will also be a greater emphasis on data privacy and security, especially with increasing regulations. I plan to stay at the forefront by continuously learning and experimenting with new technologies, and also aim to contribute by designing innovative, scalable, and secure data architectures that can support these emerging trends and help organizations stay competitive.
Oh, perfect. Awesome. Sounds good. Now, thank you for sharing your insights and experience. It's clear that you have a strong technical foundation and a thoughtful approach to data architecture. We'll review our notes and get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you for your time again.
Thank you for the opportunity to discuss my experience. I really appreciate the conversation and look forward to hearing from you.
Perfect. Have a good day. Bye.
Thank you.